characters also come over into multiplayer.
We took the personalities from our campaign and brought them to the wild, exaggerated, crazy world of MP.
Sweet revenge!
We have 12 operators at launch, 6 in the beta, all from different walks of life.
What is bringing those characters together in campaign?
Captain Butcher, who's a returning character from Call of Duty World War II, he's back. He's got a much larger role now. We needed a character when we went to the Special Forces, the connective tissue, who was the guy who went around and found all these people to give birth to this new type of warfare. And he puts them together and he sends them into these incredibly dangerous situations.
Sometimes you need a job done. That's when you call the professionals.
So these special operation task forces that we have, the SOTFs, what are these?
That's the whole notion of multiplayer, is that this is Butcher forming these teams. You know, they do feel like ragtag people pulled from all over the world to form these awesome squads of elite soldiers.
So when you unlock one of these operators, you get that moment to learn more about their backstory. Melinda, do you have a favorite one of those?
I do. My favorite is for Solange, who is Dutch Aruban, and she was plucked from her everyday life and put into the war, and she did strategy. And I think what's interesting is with our characters, we also not only touch on people who fought on the front lines, we touch on people that fought at home or were taken and not primed for war. They were just normal people that wanted to live normal lives, and then the war happened and everything changed.
You can't change your past, but you can choose how it molds you.
Most of the time in multiplayer, you're selecting the character, you're in the game, you're in the action, running around.
We have a couple that are just absolutely crazy, don't we? I think Paulina's really sinister, actually, and you get more of a look into her character. It almost makes you afraid of her.
It's about immersion, about putting players in there, and these stories are just fantastic.
We wanted to champion a lot of the forgotten stories of the war, and a lot of them are female-led stories. There are a lot of women that had a part in the war, whether on the home fronts or on the battlefield.
We created so much lore around them and their backstory and who they were as people, and also we wanted them to feel like distinct pieces on their own.
As you're randomly assigned an operator when you start the game, you can now use that operator as much as you want. And then they have operator progression, which is a brand new thing where as you're leveling that operator, you're getting cosmetic rewards. They have charms that are based on their backstory, new cool animations that we use in the game for finishing moves and everything else that really immerse you in that experience. We don't have factions in multiplayer. It's Team A versus Team B. It is a very deliberate decision, but it's one that we found was for the best of the game. It allows players to be able to customize their character and how they want to play.
You know, once we made that call, it was really important to then really dig deep into find all those different characters, because it was a global war and people were fighting their own battles in their own countries.
I do think, though, there's a lot of opportunities for people to learn about new perspectives and new angles on things that happened during that time period.
So we have a lot of diversity in our characters, not just in their race, but in their appearance, their gender, and all of that is explored more in MP.
They're all fictional characters grounded in World War II, but they are based on real people and real groups that did fight in the war. Another thing with campaign is the character you're playing as. We don't want them to talk too much to sort of allow the player to live the fantasy. So in multiplayer, we get to actually make them talk, and you can hear them talk more.
Didn't think I'd come back, did you?
That brings me back to life.
You had that coming!
It's multiplayer, it's still a game, but there's so much history there, there's so much depth and richness, and you've been able to bring all of this together into this story that is quite amazing.